good.
It's a good song to
Yeah, I got it.
Alright, so this is a KAWAI. These are great pianos. You usually see these pianos at schools or churches. It's a great piano for someone who's either just starting out and wants to learn on a nice piano, or somebody who's taking it more seriously, probably like at the high school / college level. These are the pianos you probably most commonly see in like the practice rooms or the choir room. It's in great shape, polyurethane black finish, no scratches that I can see. I mean, this is in great shape. This is pretty much next to new condition. Everything inside, all the hammers are in great shape. One thing you want to check out, if you want to come over here, none of the hammer felts are coming off the hammer heads. I mean, these are all in really good shape. Sometimes in used pianos, the hammer felts will start coming off, and when one's coming off, that means you're probably going to have to start replacing the other ones too, because they're not going to be far behind. All the dampers are in really good regulation. One of the tests you can do, I'm pressing on the pedal and you can see that they all lift at just about the same time. If you're buying a used piano, that's not always the case, so you'd have to, in another piano where that wasn't so even, you might have to spend extra money to get somebody to regulate that for you. So the dampers and the notes would play in a predictable way. The other thing is, I can say that I just tuned this piano, and you can tell if the wood behind this plate is failing when it's really easy to turn one of the tuning pins. But I tuned every single note in this piano just now, and it sounds great. And so I know that this would hold a tune really well because there was the right amount of tension when I was turning the tuning hammer. So we know the pin block's in good shape under here. Another thing we can check is the bridges underneath. When you're buying a used piano, you want to make sure that there's no cracking, because that is oftentimes, just take off this bottom front panel here, cracking can be an indication that you're going to have some work done on a piano. So I can get a flashlight here so we can see this. But I don't hear any false beats when I was tuning it, so that's a good indication that there's not going to be any cracks in the bridge. But I mean, you see that commonly. I work in a piano restoration workshop, and sometimes, like when it dries out or there's lots of humidity changes, you'll see little cracks right here next to where these bridge pins are that hold the bass notes. But I mean, this looks brand new. And also in here, this is the soundboard. There are no cracks, which is also a sign that this is a pretty new, good condition piano. If you're buying a used piano, you definitely want to look for cracks in the soundboard, because what happens is if there's a crack in the soundboard and you play a note, you'll hear like a buzzing noise, and so it just makes it sound more like a toy than an instrument. The reason these are used at schools is because it has toe blocks that secure the legs. So that means it's easy to move around. You can just wheel this around without worrying about snapping any legs off. We see that happen a lot when we're repairing pianos. People try to move the piano and the legs will snap off. But this is a really solid frame. Some cool things about the piano. Let's see, we have I'm going to put this practice bar back in. I took this out when I was tuning it, and this is an awesome feature, especially if you live in an apartment, but awesome in general too, because if you're playing like repetitive, like practice stuff, like scales. Sometimes you don't necessarily need to have the piano be at full volume. Let's see if I can put this in here. Oh, get it down there. Okay. Trouble filling it here now. There we go. Let's go put it in there first and then slide this on. You can cut this part out of the video. What I like about this is it has a practice bar that you really have to fuck with when you want to put it on. There we go. Just gotta screw it in first and then slide it on. Alright, we're back. So one of the nice features is that the middle pedal here has a little cord that activates this practice rail. So let's say you're doing some exercises or scales and you play that for like 15 minutes and it starts to get a little bit old. So what you can do, you can press this practice pedal and it puts this piece of felt down in there right in front of the hammers. So it's just much, and then if you want to keep it in there, you can even slide it over to the left and it locks in place. So then you don't have to hold it down. That's much better. That's somebody's in the kitchen while you're practicing. That's going to be a lot more pleasant on the ears for your exercise. And then, so there's that. Left pedal is just quiet. It brings the hammers closer to the strings so it doesn't sound as loud. Right pedal is your sustain. Pretty standard. Yeah, I'm trying to think of if there's anything else notable about this. We might be able to, I think I have the piano atlas with me, so if you want to grab the year that it was made, we could even look that up too, based on the serial number.